Hey guys, and welcome to Bangers. And if you clicked on this, you know we're talking about tobaccos today. We had a lot of trouble finding tobacco-only recipes, um, and most of the recipes are dessert tobaccos and that kind of thing. So you know, we struggled a little bit on this round, getting a lot of recipes together and getting them ready. You know, some of the tobaccos need a little bit more steeping time. So if you're not seeing your recipe here tonight, just note that, and you did put it on the post. Just know that if we did mix it up, we're going to be putting those reviews out, and this is not going to be the only tobacco show that we ever do. We're going to be rotating through profiles with bangers. So yeah, there's going to be another opportunity. Thank you for everybody that has joined us in chat. You will see it's going to be me, myself, Deets, and Rudy tonight. I think all in all, we should have about 8 recipes for you guys. We checked out for you. So you guys can just sit back and relax and check out what some of the mixers are doing, you know, when they're mixing up tobaccos. And let's talk about it. Okay, so I mixed up, or not mixed up, actually, when I put out my post, I also put out in some of the local WhatsApp groups that I'm part of. I put out, just a message to say to everybody that we're going to be doing a tobacco show, and if a South African mixer does have a recipe for me, I would like to showcase it. Now, Guy, he goes by the name of GSM 500 on ATF, and he did a recipe. Well, it's not really. How can I say? He's created a tobacco base that can serve as a very good base that he can work and play with and add to. You know, so this is something that I was very interested in. He's also an old school tobacco mixer, so what you will see in his mixes is him actually putting together tobacco, opposed to, you know, some of the later released tobaccos like the Flavora tobaccos, where most of all that work has been done for us, right? But this recipe is called Honeywood. Okay, you can find this on ATF. I'll put a link now out on chat for you. It's got 1% graham cracker, 1% FA honey, 1% TFA red oak, and 3.5% TFA western. Excuse me, got the hiccups there. Anyway, so let's just run through the description here. A super smooth, woodsy type tobacco with a sweet shot of honey. So the main note here is, of course, Western TFA. So he goes on to say that an old school tobacco flavor that just seems to have a timeless tobacco nuance. This makes up the primary note of the recipe at 3.5%. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. I love that woodsy tobacco flavor or nuance. The red oak in here and the graham cracker, he says here, used here to blend the main tobacco note with a touch of spice and coconut. I do get a little bit of coconut in there. Wood spice is probably the more subtle nuances that I'm getting from this. Okay, and then I think what really makes this recipe so delicious is FA honey, that shot of honey that he put in here at 1%. So you know, when you're working with stuff like TFA red oak, TFA western, not so much graham cracker, they are inherently actually, or our palates experience them slightly drier. So what Guy did over here is he put in 1% FA honey, you know, and honey's taste inherently has like a rounder finish, brings a lovely natural sweetness also to the mix, and I think in my opinion this makes the recipe extremely good. I vape this on a direct lung system, so in my Hadley with this obviously single coil. I think there's an alien in here, and I can thoroughly recommend this recipe. The recipe does say 42 days steep time. I didn't have 42 days steep time. He gave me some of his DIY that he had already steeped, but he had said that after about a week or two, the flavor's all there, but it just gets better over time. All right. So yes, I was lucky in that regard that we had an opportunity to meet up for him to pass this recipe to me. But as far as the recipe goes, I think he's done a wonderful job here to create, like a tobacco base that you can now from here you can actually move it into any direction. You can also play around with subtle fruit notes on this. Or if you want to throw, not only from the top note perspective, but you can potentially also, start playing around with, desserty flavors here as well, like caramels, butterscotch, RY4s, light on cream, so you don't kill some of those nuances on there. So I think he's done a beautiful job. So because of that, I want to go ahead and give Guy a full banger for this recipe. I thoroughly enjoyed. I'm going to be finishing this 30 ml that you gave me, or 20 ml that you gave me. I 100% will finish it. It's very delicious, and thank you very much for giving this through to us. Guy actually creates tobacco recipes. He's got a line called Pied Piper. Now, here's just 2 examples. So this is his, this juice is going to start hitting the market pretty soon. But there you can get an idea of, his brand. Ooh, let me just make sure. Okay, there you can get an idea of his brand. He loves his tobaccos. I think it's something that's going to start trending again soon. So yeah, Pied Piper, that's his tobacco. Just a little shout out for Guy. So this honeywood recipe that he created, is delicious. And if you do have those ingredients, go and mix it up. I think you will enjoy it. So yeah, let's move on to the next mix.
How's it, guys, and welcome to Bangers that features tobacco. I'm going to look at a couple of recipes today. All of them I wanted to highlight the fact that not all tobaccos needs to be steeped for 6 weeks, that the common old misconception used to be. The old flavors in the old days, 3-4 years ago, sure. The new stuff by Flavora in particular has brought a new dimension to tobaccos where an extended steep isn't necessary, and some of the recipes that I'm going to share are all pretty much shake and bake. The first one we're going to kick off is a fantastic vanilla tobacco released a couple of weeks ago by Julia Sue. The recipe is only on eliquidrecipes.com. It's not on all the flavors at all. And it uses a fabulous blend of 4 or 5 different ingredients to create a all-day vape vanilla tobacco. I've tried a few vanilla tobaccos before. They never quite hit the mark. And I think they've managed to, well, she's managed to incorporate just the right blend here to kick the vanilla up front with a nice mix of tobaccos. So what she's done, we start off with 1% Holy Vanilla by DIY FS, 1.2% Red Burley by Flavora, 1% Sisha Vanilla by Inawera, 1% Sweet and Smoky Tobacco by Flavora, which is the star of the show here, and then topped it up with a bit of Vanilla Swirl by TPA of 2%. What one gets here is a very nice tobacco. It is not a heavy tobacco. This new Sweet and Smoky Tobacco by Flavora brings a sweet and, as it says, a smoky or an ashy sort of a vibe to it, but used low, and in this instance 1%. It just boosts and it just keeps the Red Burley in place. The Red Burley at 1.2 is a dominant tobacco, and it's a typical cigar shop type flavor. It's a heavy tobacco, but used low and combined with a sweet and smoky. It makes a very nice, casual easily vapable tobacco flavor. Pair that with holy vanilla and shisha vanilla at 1% each. That sets the vanilla note, and it works beautifully through here. There's nothing that's missing. It brings a little bit of creaminess with the vanilla swirl, the TPA, at 2%, and it binds it all together. The great thing about this recipe is that it's a shake and bake. She said here that after a week or two, there is zero improvement in this recipe. It's definitely a shake and bake, and with the red burley from Flavora, definitely used within 2 or 3 weeks. It's unfortunately not a keeper. After about 3 weeks or so, it starts getting a bitter note to it, and the tobacco flavors start to fade. If you're looking for something that is subtle and a nice vanilla note, this is definitely the one to go. If you want to drop the red burley slightly, I would drop that to about 0.75 if you want a less tobacco forward vape. But as it is, it's a fantastic vanilla tobacco vape, and I would give it a full-on banger. Enjoy it, guys, and I've got another one coming. And I'm looking at another Verve recipe, one of my favorite tobacco mixes. And this one is called Sweet Leaf. Sweet Leaf, I would say, is probably one of the first and foremost recipes any newcomer to tobacco must look at. It is a simple 2-ingredient vape, and the recipe is very, very straightforward. It calls for 4% Flavora cured tobacco and 1.5 in Herrera Shisha vanilla, and that's it. No mess, no fuss. The beauty of this one is that it's a shake and bake. You can let it sit overnight, and next day you can go. As I mentioned earlier, the cured tobacco doesn't steep well. It's optimum in the first 2 weeks, and thereafter it starts fading and the flavors start dropping off. And some reports sort of a bitter taste to it that it gets. There's still a tobacco note to it, but it substantially falls off and it dissipates completely. I would do this one as a shake and vape. The Shisha vanilla, I mean, stories can be written about it, books can be written about it. This is probably the best vanilla around. And here I used that 1.5 just to enhance the cured tobacco and to smooth it out to give you a nice vanilla aftertaste. It's so simple, and anybody that wants to get into a basic tobacco, this is it. If you want to spice it up, you can add a little bit of cherry to it, a small amount, or booze, or a little bit of vanilla swirl. But this doesn't need much else to make it good. It has all the elements for a fantastic vape. Enjoy it, give it a mix, and let us know what you think about it.
Okay, so for this week's tobaccos, I am starting with Not Another Tobacco Vape by Daytime Frank. Okay, so let me share the recipe here. So for Not Another Tobacco Vape, Mr. Daytime Frank starts here by saying, my first attempt at a tobacco. The Kentucky blend is strong and hearty, and this is in the forefront of the shake. The RY4 and vanilla round out. So he has 1% FA bourbon vanilla or vanilla bourbon in here, 4.5% DFS Holy Grail RY4, 1% FLV Kentucky blend, 1.25% FLV pistachio, 0.6% FLV red burley, and then 1.5% Nuera Shisha vanilla. So with this recipe, my notes, I say here that it is a nice and bold dark tobacco, thanks to the combination of the Kentucky blend and the red burley that boosts the dark tobacco into the sweeter notes of the Holy Grail RY4. The combination of the shisha vanilla and the bourbon smoothens and brings out the caramel note from the RY4 to the front. So that's all then well rounded off by the pistachio, wrapping it all into a slight sweet and nutty exhale. I would mix this up again, and I would like to personally push the red burley a little bit more. So give this one a mix if you like a dark and sweet tobacco. It is definitely a great tobacco, and it also works very well for MTL. I've tested it in my RTA and in my MTL. I prefer it in the RTA, but it works in the MTL as well. So for me, this one is a fist bump. Thank you, Frank. This was a good recipe, especially considering it's your first one, as you mentioned there. Thank you.
This time by one of my favorite tobacco mixers. His name is Verve, and he's got quite a substantial collection of tobacco recipes. Most of them are pretty simple, easy, 2 or 3 ingredient tobacco vapes. And another example of a tobacco that doesn't need to steep. It doesn't need 3 or 4 months to get better. The one I'm looking at is Cherry Almond Cigar, which has received numerous 5-star ratings on all the flavors. And it's as simple as can be, using a strong base ingredient and just accented by 2 simple ingredients. So the recipe is 3% Flavora cured tobacco, 0.5 FA almond, and 1.5 marzipan. The profile is going for, and as he describes it, as a cherry almond cigar. And the base there is of course the cured tobacco. The cured tobacco by Flavora is a fantastic, well, probably one of the best tobacco bases, and it's that typical cigar shop flavor. It's a full, rich tobacco taste, smell. All the senses are triggered by this one. The only disadvantage is it doesn't keep well. So 2-3 weeks and it starts to deteriorate, and the flavor dissipates quite drastically. After 4 weeks, it's practically unvapeable. It's there, but it's lost most of its essence. The FA almond is an accent here, but an FA almond is, as you know, one of the best almond flavors around. And the cherry element comes from the Innovero marzipan. Marzipan used low at 1.5, but it just gives you that real cherry sort of nougat flavor, and it's a nice sweetness that it adds, and it enhances the cured tobacco, and then combined with the almond, it gives you a real almost authentic small cherry cigar. It vapes very well. It's a shake and vape, overnight steep, and you're on your way. This one definitely a banger, and I recommend it to all first-time vapers. Enjoy this one, guys.
Then next up here, I have Born in Fire's The Problem with Tobacco. So I'm going to share this quickly. So the problem with tobacco: complex tobacco flavor with just 3 ingredients. Nice rich tobacco comes from the burley, add some dark notes and caramel with the RY4 double, and finish it off with some dark honey notes. Add more burley if you want to taste the ash, but I wouldn't recommend over 4%. Let it steep. Enjoy. So there's 2% TFA black honey, 2% FLV red burley, and 3% RY4 double. So this recipe was definitely a very interesting recipe for me. I did not actually expect all the flavor that I got from, or the complexity of the flavor that I got from these 3 ingredients, even after knowing these ingredients and have been using them quite a lot. So this one, my note starts with, wow, now this is something. As the description says, it's complex tobacco flavor with just 3 ingredients. This is deliciously dark, full tobacco. The secret here, for me, is the red burley that's boosted by the black honey. The honey is really doing an amazing job at all the way from the start of the inhale all the way to the exhale, and it's just a very, very good flavor that works well with the red burley. The RY4 does very well for the middle and back notes of the profile, and it blends everything together very well. I can only say that this is the best 3 concentrate tobacco that I have personally had. And if you love a strong tobacco with a heavy honey note, then this is definitely one you need to mix. This is a full-on banger from me, and I would say very, very well done. And thank you, Born in Fire. This is something I am permanently mixing up from here on, and it's just delicious. Thanks. In my RTA, this is my preference. Also, I've tested it in my MTL, but the RTA is where it's at for me. The honey just really explodes, and it's there all the way. So delicious tobaccos from me, and thank you very much. Cheers.
Another quick recipe review for our tobacco insert. And this time I'm looking at another Verve recipe. The Verve portfolio, as I said, with the tobaccos are simple, easy, mostly shake and vape tobaccos, which just dispels the myth a bit about tobaccos taking forever to steep and putting some people off. This time we're looking at a very popular flavor. It's a honey nut cigar. There are many people that smoke these little shisha cigars, and a very popular brand back home is a honey nut version. And this one has four simple ingredients, but all very well chosen. And Verve explains that you base this on Wayne's Pistachio RY4, but you want to make it a little bit creamy and a little bit nuttier. So he's adapted the original idea. And the recipe is as follows. It's 1% Inawera marzipan, 2% Flavora milk and honey, 1.5% TPA pistachio, and 3% RY4 double. So combined, you can imagine this is a nice sweet vape. It gives you that the sweetness from the milk and honey adds that natural sweetness to it. And it provides a very good body to this, and it sits with the RY4 double beautifully. The RY4 double, as it is, has a nice strong caramel flavor, and it's a nice entry-level tobacco for novice vape. For novice tobacco vapers. The pistachio adds the nuttiness and that nice, almost earthy nuttiness to it. You can almost taste that greenness from the pistachio in this version. And then the Inawera marzipan adds a little bit of a cherry vibe to it to give it that authentic shisha type flavor. This is definitely also a shake and vape. You can leave this for about 2 days. This is for the milk and honey and the marzipan to settle down. But straight after that you can go. There's no 3 or 4 week steep required here. Nice and simple entry-level tobacco. If you want it nice and sweet, this is it, and that is the key for with the RY4. It's a tobacco, but it's almost a sweetened tobacco that's flavored with or enhanced by a bit of caramel. And the purists don't like RY4 double. They say that it's not a true tobacco. The Birdies and Kentuckys and those guys play more of a role. But for this as an entry-level tobacco for a guy that wants to get into these tobaccos, this is one of the ones on the list to do. And it's a nice sweet mini cigar, cherry cigar, and it works beautifully. Give it a go and let us know in the comments what you think about it. This time by one of our own, one of the members of the group, by a young chap you might know by the name of Deeds. He released and shared a vanilla tobacco vape a couple of months ago. I've mixed it up. I'm now on my third batch. I haven't told him that I'm doing this review, and so I hope he approves. It's vanilla leaves, as he calls it. It's a nice strong tobacco vape, and it is not dry. It doesn't have the typical strong tobacco scratchiness to the throat, and he's managed to combine the vanilla very well here. If we run through the recipe, he's used 0.4 AM4A by Inawera, which is a very specific dark tobacco, and it almost brings like a dried fruit vibe to the mix. Used at 0.4, it is very subtle and it just sits underneath the rest of the ingredients, which is Holy Holy Grail RY4 by DFS, used at 0.5. Kentucky Blend by Flavora at 1.5. Red Burley by Flavora at 2%, and 1.3% Sisha Vanilla. This one does need a steep. At least 2 weeks, probably 3 or 4 weeks will be better. There's a few ingredients in here that does get better with time, especially the AM4A, as well as the red burley. The red burley, as Fia notes in his cardinal recipe, is that it sort of fades away. It's very strong and prominent at the beginning. It then falls off and then it comes back again after about 2 weeks. So I would say no less than 2 weeks for this one. It's a nice, almost creamy tobacco and vanilla vape, if you can explain it that way. The Holy Grail and the Sisha Vanilla definitely adds to the smoothness. It's definitely an all-day vape. This one I've done on a few occasions an entire day on it, and it gives you, as Beat says, sort of a warm feeling when you have it. It's very reminiscent of an analog to an extent, but I think this one is a winner. We need to share this one far and wide with all the chaps that's into tobaccos. The simple recipe, 5 ingredients, chosen well, and it's a remarkable feat for a young chap to devise this one. Well done, Deeds. I give this one a full-on banger.
Okay guys, that pretty much wraps up the show for tonight, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to leave a like and also share and subscribe. Thank you for all the support from everybody that joins us and watches the replay of this premiere. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it, and it's nice putting out content for you guys and just getting the feedback from you. So keep us honest and tell us what you want, and then we can create content for you on that. But yeah, just before we go, a couple of shout outs also. I want to just shout out a couple of channels. Of course, Fresh03, that lets us run this after his show on Saturdays. Now, by the time this show screens, we will probably have the final round decided by Shindo, Emily, and Fresh03 for the mix-off between TFE and DIY Down Under. So whoever won that, congratulations to the team and the team members. Anyway, you will be able to find content about this competition on my channel. The first round is there. On DIY Down Under's channel, you'll find the second round judging on there, and the final round judging, of course, on Fresh03 show. Just if you were interested to see what that was all about. The other channel that I would like to shout out is Daytime Frank on Sundays, DIY Down Under Saturdays, and also through the week. Also have a cool Facebook group out, DIY Down Under. Go check that out as well. Then 2 other shows that I like to check out as well, and sometimes contribute to it. Mix and Vixens, beautiful show. They mix up, they put out profiles, let you mix it up, and you kind of like play around with what they're going to mix up as a profile for that week. And with the show, they look at how people went about mixing up the profile just from a picture. Very cool concept, and developed as well. Go and check out those channels, guys. Don't forget to join the Mixologist Facebook group. Lots of activity there. Also, just wanted to thank everyone for contributing to that channel, and just helping out the DIY scene here in South Africa. It's taking off, and it's just at a very good in a very good space now, where anybody can just get in touch with anyone and discuss anything. And you know, that's what I would like to see going forward as well. So yeah, thank you guys, and be beautiful, and see you guys next week. Cheers, man.